Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. New Year, same old problems. Look like we got another brother that was brought down because he couldn't tame his testosterone. Yeah, we're going to talk about Sherrone Moore and other things in this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School.
We were sitting up here. I poured me a couple of little drinks, and we had gone out to this Cajun restaurant the weekend before, and she's like, I'm going to have me a drink, Rodney, what can I have? I'm like, you said you were going to have a drink. I don't know nothing about what you want to drink, So I called out. She used to like the amaretto sours, so she's sucking that thing down. I could drink a bunch of these. I'm like, no, you can't. I said, you remember last time we did that and I had to pick you up and put you in the truck? No. So for New Year's, we usually do some champagne or something. Didn't want to do that, so I went and bought her some amaretto. By the time she said she wanted one, well, she didn't say she wanted. She was like, I'm going to bed. I was like, all right, I'll see you later. So yeah, but it was. Hey, we're just glad to be here, brother.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I lost
how was
my
yours?
I lost my uncle on Christmas Day, man. The one that was in the Air
Really?
Force, the one
Yeah.
with the dementia.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. They called. Well, I was in the shower. They called Kathy because they couldn't get a hold of me, and they said that they took him down to breakfast. Brought him back. He was sort of normal self. Brought him back to the room, put him in bed, and came back a few minutes later just to check on him and see, make sure he didn't need to be changed or anything. And technician said, something's not right. I think they realized that he probably had passed, so they ran and grabbed the charge nurse and brought her up there. And they said, just that quickly, he'd gone, man.
Man, I'm
So,
sorry to hear that, man.
Went down and see him. As a matter of fact, like I say, I'd done some steaks and things on the grill because we always have sort of alternate Christmas dinner since we have turkey and dressing and all that during Thanksgiving, and gotten in the shower and get ready for that. So of course, it's put a damper on things some, but we you buried him a week ago today. As a matter of fact, we just had a little graveside service, because at his age, he was 91 too. Wasn't a lot of his peers by any means still around.
Exactly.
So it was primarily just family and a few people that, remembered him kind of thing. So we just did a graveside service for him. But yeah, man, it's, a rough couple of months with my mom passing in October and then he passed in December. I'm hoping 26 is going to be a better year for us.
I heard that, man. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. You had a rough 25, man.
Yeah, it has been. It has been. But, we keep saying, the Lord don't give you no more than you can handle. Sometimes you think about that, but, I keep telling myself there's people who go through far worse, and then they both, had lived long lives. I mean, both of them were 91 and they both had gotten to the point that, their life wasn't a full, enjoyable life, with his dementia, he couldn't really even talk hardly anymore. And my mom, with the years of smoking and everything, her breathing was with the COPD was really a issue. And she was having some heart issues at the same time. And then she had told us for about the last year since Mark passed, she said, I can't go through losing another child. I'm ready to go now. She told us that many times. So, they're in a better place. It was hard, but they're in a better place. But other than that, things have gone well. We were like y'all. We did stay up to New Year's Day. Had a little champagne, and Tamara went in there and got a bottle of Asti out, and I out of the wine rack, and I was taking the foil off of it to open it up, and the foil was crackling and shredding. I'm like, how old is this stuff? And I'm like, "Well, it's probably been there for a while, but it should be okay." And popped the cork on it, it popped and everything, and, I took a dr at, right at before midnight, or well, I guess right after midnight, we all took a drink, and I took a drink, and I'm like, "Damn, this don't taste like no like no Austin Spumante that I remember."
Right.
I said, "I don't know how old that bottle was." I said, "Look, I ain't drinking no more of this. Probably y'all shouldn't either," but it still had plenty of foam to it and everything, but it just
Yeah.
didn't taste right. I said, "I have no idea," even though, they always talk about, alcohol and champagne and stuff gets better with age.
Yeah.
Yeah, this didn't taste like it got better with age. I said, "We've had our little sip. I poured the rest out and went to bed." So, yeah,
There you go.
I know
Yeah.
what you mean. It ain't like the old days, man.
Nobody. It's all right, man. I was like, boy, we be just getting ready to go out
That's what
somewhere
I'm saying.
or be already drunk,
Yeah, that's the
feeling
way we
tipsy.
were.
But shit, it's we laugh about it sometimes because we all go to our corners and sometimes I'm like, man, I went down there and told her, I said, damn, this is pathetic. I said, this is Friday night. And 6:30, you already turned the alarm on where everybody getting in their corner. I remember the day when hell we just be making plans, we getting ready to lock in for the night.
Yeah.
But, but that's
Yeah,
how it
things
is.
change, boy, I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
They
So,
change. But,
but yeah.
I like to say one thing that I've been meaning to ask about all for the last couple of months was, your boy up there in Michigan, Sherrone Moore. What
Oh
it wa
man.
is that another one of those typical situations where he been thinking with that little head instead of his big head?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a man's disease. He ain't got sense enough not to act on it, man. You know, these younger dudes, man, I don't know what the hell is wrong with them. They don't think. I think they start reading the press because for however many people advocated for you get that job, there was probably twice as many that didn't want you to have it.
Mhm.
And boy, they start sending them. I'm telling you, I was telling Rosin about, certain situations. I had a guy I went to Boys State with down there. He got up to in Bowie County, which was never heard of. He got to be the what was it? He's like the head. Uh, uh, what was Mike's title? I don't. He wasn't no. Anyway, he was like the lead prosecutor for the county,
Mhm.
and Bowie County is hella size. And Mike was a well-spoken brother. Not that we need to say that, but you know what I'm trying to paint a picture.
Right.
He was definitely not no ladies' man when he was in high school. A nice wife. He became head prosecutor. Man, I can't believe I can't remember his title. But anyway, he got in that position. He stayed there for one term, and then one of them little uh, secretaries came after him, and he couldn't resist. And I'm saying these brothers get in these spots and they don't understand it. I know personally how it happened because it happened to me and it happened to the dude that hired me over at the Supreme Court. All of a sudden they were coming out. I'm like, look, I'm an old married man. I told you about what this one little girl told me, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that. Remember
but
that.
she needed a sugar daddy. Like, I can be your daddy, but I sure ain't got no sugar for you. And
Yeah.
and that's what the first thing it made me think of. And when you really think about it, a lot of people, when they lose their position, not all, but a lot of them, it'd be because of an extramarital affair. 'Cause, You know, the way I see it, they all believe that we're black men, that we're just sex hungry, especially for a white woman. So that's the stereotype, man.
Yeah. And
And
and when you have these kind of situations, that's when people, stand up and say, "See, that's what I told you."
yeah,
That's a typical, black male. Can't keep his thing in his pants and you're
yeah,
going after the and you look at it, and I guess I always think, what have you got to gain and what have you got to lose with this matter? Because I mean, everybody know who she was, but it's like, okay, she's scot free. We ain't even gonna touch her,
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything's about him. So everything is gonna come down on you and be about you. You're
yeah.
gonna lose your career. I mean, it seemed like his wife, at least for now, is saying she's standing by him. But
Mhm.
I mean, what have you got to gain in these situations?
And,
I
and,
just,
and especially if you hooked on the vanilla, your wife is vanilla.
yeah,
What's up with that? And
yeah.
if you just can't help yourself, don't do it in your backyard. Just go somewhere. Go over to go to Michigan State and screw one of them women over there somewhere. I mean, man,
Go to a rival, right?
yeah, go somewhere else, not in your own backyard, And that just gives them all the fuel to fire that you took advantage of your position and
Mhm.
like she was intimidated to do it. No, she was sent after your ass, boy. That's what I don't understand. These dudes don't pay attention. I can see for a young boy. Well, I can't see it then either. He ought to know better too. But for somebody that's been around for a while, if you've been around long, especially you can become the head coach in Michigan. That means you've been around a while. Cause you don't usually get them jobs to
Right.
you in your later 30s or whatever. So I just don't. It ain't no excuse for it, man.
Yeah, yeah, and then, he was I mean, I guess, like anybody, you go through a mental state there when all of a sudden your business is all out there, for the world to see, and then they went and had to arrest him after he showed up and was
Yeah,
talking about, I guess, possibly beating up on her and killing
yeah.
himself and all this kind of stuff, and
You
I'm
ruined my
thinking,
life.
yeah, I'm like, "You're going from bad to worse, dude." Do you I mean, you gotta, at some point, act like a man and act somebody got a little bit of sense, because you just making matters worse.
Yes, indeed. You're making matters worse, and then you letting those haters out there say, see what I told you,
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, the dude just didn't even have no, he didn't have no sense about what he was doing, but he damn sure didn't have no sense, like you said. But you be a man and own up to what you didn't got caught doing,
Yeah, yeah,
and
a
leave it
and
at
I
that.
think sometimes that's the high road out. Sometimes you just have
Yeah,
to eat a little crow and say, "Yeah, I messed up. I'm a human. I'm a man. I messed up. I'll sort of take the punishment that I'm given, and I'll move on, and I'll be a better person going forward." But when you start doing stuff that just makes the matters worse, that's yeah, makes you wonder where the mind is. And I think just the whole story sort of tells you where the mind is. That's what got you there. That's what you
yeah,
got you in this position.
yep. And I was watching. I was watching an old episode. I was just flipping through the channels of Bill Cosby's show, and one of his daughters came in. She had lied and said she was going over to a girl's house and ended up going out with this dude. And uh, Rudy told it. So they was sitting up. They had pulled the couch up to the front door, waiting for her to come home. So she came in and she tried to play it off like, she had been over at her girlfriend's house studying. They went through that whole rigmarole anyway. So the boy, they told him to call him and tell him to come over here. We want to talk to him. So his wife went upstairs with his daughter. You could hear them. She's up there shouting, "You liar," and blah, 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 blah. She was on her butt. So he said, "No, let's go in the kitchen. I want to talk to you." Homeboy said, Bill Cosby, he said, "I'm going to have an apple. Do you want one?" he said, "Well, yeah, Mr. Huxtable, I have one with you." So he said, "So you and my daughter went out, huh?" "Well, yes, sir. We went out." Anyway, long story short, he pulled these 2 apples out, and he set them apart. He said, "Well, how close were y'all sitting? This close?" And he went on, "This close? And this close?" So then he put the other apple on top of the other one. He said, "This close?" he said, "Oh no, Mr. Huskable. Oh no, 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 no." He said, "Boy, this apple has been getting us in trouble since mankind." I was like, "Damn." She said, "Yeah, this apple has been getting us in trouble for a long time." So, but yeah, oh boy, he couldn't help himself, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it just got to the point, I was telling a partner of mine, I said, I think sometimes in those situations, if you gotta hire an assistant, hire a dude or hire a 70-year-old woman or something like that, so where the temptations maybe aren't there, but, they don't wanna do that. They won't have them pretty young things around them, and I think that's what usually gets them in trouble.
Oh yeah, that and you stop thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
You knew what the game was about all the way up to get that job. Once you got it, you forgot.
Yeah.
Thought you was special. You hanging around. You stop hanging around with people you were hanging around with before that will warn you. Then you start hanging around with them other folks, and you thought that you could do what they can do.
Mhm.
And the rules are different from you.
Yeah, yeah. And if you don't have somebody that's in a position sort of outside that your normal
Mm-hmm.
bubble to say, "Look, you
Mm-hmm.
messing up." I mean, and a lot of time when you get in those positions, you don't wanna have those kind of people because you think you got everything under
Yeah.
control,
You
but
above them now.
yeah, yeah, if that's when you need somebody that either is in a position themselves or consider themselves a close enough friend to say, "Look, you messing up. You need to stop. You need to get back and you know, have them send her to some other department. Get you somebody in there that you ain't gonna have no temptations with. You need somebody like that. But at that point, you usually don't surround yourself with nothing but yes people,
Yep.
that ain't gonna tell you what you really need to hear. So it's the bad situation. I mean, yeah, as I say, we have short memories, so maybe you give him a few years, and if you do the right things over that period of time, and maybe start at the bottom again and try to work his way up, he might have a bit of a career. But he's going to have to do some backtracking and earn his way back up and earn the trust of universities and people in general. So we'll see what
Mm-hmm.
he does. We'll see.
Well, you can best believe he probably won't get no shot like Bobby Petrino.
Hmm.
Hell,
Yeah,
he got promoted. Well, he didn't get promoted, but he went to the pros and got a job, and now he's back at Arkansas.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
that don't happen for you like that, partner. It's
No.
gonna it's gonna be a couple of if you ever get back in there again, you're gonna be 60. It's gonna be a long time, but they ain't gonna let you forget it because every time your name come up, well, he had that scandal.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be with him forever.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be with him forever.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to ask you too about, I read some article, it's been a while too, about, I guess some lady out there in Oklahoma that was over or, the, like the Black Lives Matter organization in Oklahoma that got indicted for, using
Yeah.
money for her own needs. Or are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I heard about it. Because it was all over the news down here. I was just like, I don't even want to hear it. Because to me, it's two things. Either they trying to lie and get her because they were all anti-Black Lives Matter, especially when they were protesting. Or if you are that dumb, kind of like old boy, that all eyes on you. And when it comes to all kind of publicly raised money, people that ain't got no interest in what you're doing are going to be seeing what you're doing with that money.
Mhm.
But they were saying she had house renovations. But if you remember, that same old woman down at Texas Southern University that was the president, she did the same thing. Man, people are coming at you to set you up. That's why they got fired down there at TSU. That one woman did. And hell, Roland was telling me that she had contractors coming out to her house doing her landscaping in her yard, charging it to TSU. Like, my God, these folks are dumb.
Yeah,
They don't know how the game is played, man.
Yeah. And it's just, I think some of those kind of positions, like you said, from the very get go, there's people out there that may be sort of against the movement. Some people out there that feel like, why we got to have a Black Lives Matter, every lives matter, that are going to start from day one putting you under a microscope.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I ain't saying you can't, you got to be so squeaky clean, you can't even live your life. But there are some things that are wrong, that that you shouldn't be doing. Well, why do those things? Because there's people, you can't get away from things like you did back in the old days, between the internet and social media and all this other kind of stuff. You can't get away from that kind of stuff. You got to be able to just do the right thing. If you want to live this big time lifestyle that you haven't lived your whole life, then all of a sudden, wow, she's driving a Escalade or a Mercedes or whatever. She just bought a new house. How is she able to do all that kind of thing, especially with a fund like this that is supposed to be monies toward, the movement, if you will, not personal income.
Right.
I just don't quite understand why we do those things. I mean, I guess worst case scenario, stash it somewhere that looks like it's in an account for the fund, and then if you leave office and take it with you, that's you say, well, I just waited till I got out of office. I had this money from my previous careers, and now I'm doing these things. But while you're doing that, while you're in the positions, it just opens you up for scrutiny.
Well, my thing is, it's like I always say, we ain't ready for prime time, man. Once mission is accomplished, we got where we want to be. We done lost our whole mind. We ain't even thinking about doing the things that put us in a position to get that job. And that was by being squeaky clean, because you wouldn't get it if you didn't have a clean record. And but I look at it just like a whole lot of things, like not having a mentor, not understanding what it all entails. It's funny we're saying this. I was just thinking the other day, because I don't know, man. I just start thinking about random stuff that comes up. I mean, I'm like, why would I think about that? But I just remember thinking about we went home. Kids were younger then. They were much younger, and I'd say junior high, high school. Anyway, they we took them home, and I just happened to be sitting there, and then next thing I know, they were showing their grandfather their money. And he's like, "Oh boy, look at that," all that kind of stuff. And I didn't think nothing of it, since that was their grandfather. But then I told him later on, you don't be showing your people your money that you got, in your wallet and all that kind of stuff. You don't do that. And I said that. What made I started thinking about it was that's even part of the learning process about money and handling money. If you think about growing up, you never had no money, you don't know how to act when you get some.
Right.
And it's a carryover to all of it. It's if you're not taught money literacy, you ain't. Once you become a grown man, I guess some of us wake up, I guess, but you're gonna go through those little trial and tribulations of making errors and doing all this other kind of stuff. It's hard enough out there now. We're going to make errors anyway, but at least if you got a little smarts on it, you can minimize that maybe. But I don't know. It just randomly came up in my head because I'm thinking about some of their cousins and stuff and how irresponsible they are, with money, but they're making the same mistakes that the parents made, because they ain't know nothing either about it. You can't teach somebody something you don't know yourself. But I think that's part of the problem with us overall. No matter what we do, we just ain't. We use our heads to get to where we want to be, but we don't. Once we get there, we don't use our head.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think, sometimes you just almost think you're almost untouchable. I'm in a
yeah,
position now where nobody's going to come after me, and once again, those days are gone. There are no untouchable people
oh,
anymore.
that's
There's
right.
more people out there, or groups or individuals looking for the dirt than
Yeah,
ever before. So, I mean, I think you always got to be mindful of that. I think, we've talked about that many times, like you said, about people who are in a position where they maybe haven't had a whole lot when it comes to money and struggles and things of that nature. When they do get in it, they it's almost like, you being a basketball player your whole life and all of a sudden somebody says, "Okay, you're gonna play football now." You
mhm,
don't know because you hadn't had that background in it. And then sometimes your pride or whatever won't let you go out and seek advice. But when you get in that public forum, when you're in a position over an organization or a political position, whatever it may be, there's just more eyes on you. And I just think if there's
yeah,
ever a time that you have to tell yourself, whatever it takes, I gotta be as clean as I can be just because I know that everybody's watching. And there's people who want me to screw up. There's people
oh
out
yeah,
there who want me to make a mistake.
you
And
better
I ain't
believe.
gonna give them the privilege of watching me go down. I'm going to be that way. And if you come after me, I want you to find something. I want
Mhm,
you to find something. So yeah, 'cause, I guess that that national organization, if you will, it had that big scandal with them about the mansions that they were buying, and, she was trying to
mhm,
justify it by, "Oh, we need to meet in a nice place," and all this kinda stuff, and I said, "Well,
mhm.
yeah, I agree. You ain't gotta be meeting in a shed, but do you need a 3 or $4 million mansion to meet in and have retreats in and that kind of thing?" Once again, I said, "It only leads to people investigating you and stuff."
That's right.
It's gotta be smart. I
Yeah,
just
that's,
don't
that's why they got
understand it.
hotel meeting rooms in there.
That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
They have those kind of things here, and I know around here there's a big push on what's it called? E Suites or something, but it's a company. That's what they do. They have office sort of rental spaces, everything from offices to
Mhm.
conference rooms, whole 9 yards. And you can rent them whether you need them for a day or a week or whatever, so you don't have to have that same space, at your business or whatever. That's what they do,
Right.
e-spaces, that's what it's called, e-spaces. And they provide that. You just rent it out for the time that you need it. So I say it just bothers me when I see situations that start out, for the good, and
Mhm.
then people go and just turn it to where people say, like you said before, "See, I told you. Told you they can't handle stuff like that. Told you they can't handle
Mhm.
money. Told you it just." And all the good that you've done from day one now is gone.
Yeah,
All that everybody's gonna remember is the bad.
especially us. We gonna wear that forever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like with uh I mean, it's just selective prosecution, man, and we know what that's about. I mean, like American Red Cross had that big scandal where they were misusing money. They've been around I don't know how long and abusing the money, but it came and went just like that. Still, you got American Cross commercials on television now.
Yeah.
So
But
it,
that
it, it
didn't that went on when what's her name was over at, was it Elizabeth Dole? When that who was over at that
yeah,
time when all
yeah,
that broke,
yeah,
and by no means was
and,
she
and,
someone that didn't. I mean, she should have known about money, but,
yeah,
I think that biggest scandal with the Red Cross started when she was on the
oh
national
yeah,
director or whatever you call it.
exactly, and it continued on, and but it's one of those things. Like I said, it's like you were mentioning about in the sports realm. Back in the day, reporters wouldn't even report anything negative about the players. The beat reporters, they were following right along. They were talking about how Babe Ruth was drunk on a train, I don't know how many times, but they never put that in the paper. They never put it in the paper about them womanizing and having kids out of wedlock. But as soon as we started getting in there, there you go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
they knew John F. Kennedy was tearing up anything in sight. He was Bill Clinton before Bill Clinton.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe wasn't coming around just to be neighborly.
I'm telling you, you know, I'm serious. So they know what it's about, and it's unfortunately for us, people may not want to believe it, but if one of us do something, then all of us did it. That'll be the reason we won't hire. Michigan probably won't never have a black coach again in our lifetime.
No,
So,
no, and like I said, that's another side effect of things like that too. Is that you sort of make it harder for the next generation, if you will, to come up because now all of a sudden you sort of set us back to day one again. We got to
mhm,
recover from that because every response is going to be, well, you see what happened to him. They
mhm.
put him in that position and he couldn't handle it. So, yeah, that's the sad part of it too. But yeah, I know we're human. I don't try to say that people make mistakes and things. I guess it's just a matter of you have some time to self reflect and to yourself and say, is this right? Just like
Oh
the
yeah,
old Spike movie, just do the right thing. You know what the right thing is.
that's for
Just
sure.
do the right thing. If you live by that motto, you should be in pretty good shape. But it just doesn't happen that way.
And if it comes to you that easy, something ain't right with that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
need to you need to walk away.
yeah. If a lot of people just heeded Rodney's advice and walked away, it probably would solve a lot of problems. But unfortunately, a lot of us can't do that. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition. Join us next time for Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.